Yo, you there?
Yo,
Yo, just give me a minute. Don't start the game yet. Go for a smoke if you want to.
yo, I have a full party right now, bro.
What? There's only two
Yeah,
of you.
bro.
The fuck you talking about? Got more people coming?
Guy just got on. Yeah, these guys just got on right now.
Fuck. Okay, well then kick me. I'm not next to the computer. Yo, you can kick me, bro.
Oh man.
What?
Yo, I'll play with you after.
No, kick me. I said kick me out because I'm fucking oh, damn. extra grana spice. Smokes better with more grana. Yeah.
Eu já conhecia.
Prep time's over. Now you deploy to the war zone. Enemy dropping into the AO. redeploy. Eliminate targets to bring them back faster.
Guess we're not getting a key card today.
You're redeploying. Enemy UAV overhead. You've got a loadout drop inbound. Hostiles have established the sand turret. Hostile UAV in the area.
You ain't got you. Oh.
Marking enemy. Marking enemy. Marking enemy.
Fuck! Well, how am I missing that fucking hit?
Get a half overhead.
Made it to the safe zone.
That shit
Gas is
aggravating,
inbound.
bro.
Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done. Moving here. Marking
Bro,
SMG.
if you don't stop fucking sniping me out the air, bro, like this shit is starting to become aggravating, bro. You just sitting there waiting on me to respond, bro. And if this nigga trying to hop on GTA, bro, fuck is
Only
he doing?
25 remain. Your squad mate's back on station. Good work. Target down. Marking the rest of them.
Whoa, big guy. Got a shot on you, man. Got a shot on his
Loadout drop headed your way. You have reinforcements inbound.
bitch.
Special orders coming in. Locate and eliminate the target. Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done. on that one. Target's down. Additional contract on the way. Enemy soldier incoming.
That was close.
No fucking way. That's fucking bullshit. Yo, land on me. Find the fucking ladder. Find the ladder. Careful, don't get sniped.
You're not being the maker of gas.
Incoming LBR.
We gotta get out. Fuck! Yo, bro, up. Get out of here. Bro, I swear to God, I didn't even fucking see those guys.
Off the raid.
Enemy dropping into the AR. Playtime done. Stand by.
Yo.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Fuck.
We've got 10 squads active. Resurgence. Survive to redeploy fallen teammates. Kill to bring them back. Go get on. Watch the
On
skies.
the top, you have a lot of people.
Helicopter, yeah.
Supply box UAV is on the way.
I'm going stronghold. I have the key card, man. Go to stronghold, friends.
Before you get there.
Yeah, use the fucking zip lines.
Yeah, play the zip line.
Fucker.
Use your tac map to
Shit.
hunt down the rest of them.
Yeah, just. I just wanna have fun.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll bring the loadout. That's okay. He doesn't know the key card's there.
We're all on the 3rd floor, coach.
I heard 2 teams on me. Oh my
It's okay, boys. Don't worry. We're gonna do the old-fashioned.
No way, bro. That Terminator skin has to get taken off the game, bro. That shit has to get taken off the game.
Sucks. I know.
It's worse than
Sucks.
the Rose skin. Bro, come on.
Enemy counter UAV inbound.
Big.
You have reinforcements inbound.
Guys, go to stronghold. Land on stronghold.
Alright. There's no way that Terminator skin is still in the store either, bro. Is this still in the store? I should have bought that instead of this thick ass turtle.
Fuck. There's 2 guys here. Some bitches.
You're a rat. You're a rat. Never tried that. Yeah, what are you talking? I can't hear you. What? Mind your business.
He counts me, right?
Should've fucking kicked that fire on, got rid of him.
They're chasing you, Z. Oh, good.
Oh, okay. Fuck that. Front goal is
Friendly loadout drops on the way. Enemy dropping
Oh,
into the
try
AO. You have reinforcements inbound. Your squad mate is well done.
Fucking bitch.
Bounty content. Target of opportunity acquired. Weapons free.
There's a specialist in the fucking room.
You got the. You got,
Stay sharp out there. You're back on the station. Go get after it.
But he didn't get the specialist far. There's 3 more specialists in the fucking room.
No, I missed it.
Enemy soldier incoming.
don't peek. He's on control with a sniper.
Fuck you.
Zipline is climbing a ladder.
I saw the light there.
Is that you climbing the ladder?
No.
Ammo here.
go up. He
Yep.
wait for you, bro.
Down him.
Are you down? You stole my freaking kill. Just get rid of him. Just get rid of him.
He's dead.
I literally lasered him in the face.
Yeah. I hit him for like a gunshot and he died.
Take your headphones off.
Oh.
Your squad mates are in the safe zone. Gas is
Scared
moving.
me, yellow. Someone landing in.
That precision might get rid of us. I don't know. You think it will?
Enemy
I'm gonna
UAV
try. I'm gonna see
overhead.
it. About the first wave. How did you not die? You're right beside me.
Marking enemy.
You're literally right. You're literally in the
in
same
the
spot.
area.
I'm in.
Cancel that.
Control roof.
Target eliminated. Excellent work. Clear another target during contract timeline.
Like one shot. He jumped on the stairs, one shot. He's climbing. One more. Two. He's rezzing, he's selfing. Grenaded.
Oh my.
Don't die, fuck me.
Hey, that's me. That's me.
No, hold on. He's
That's
climbing.
me.
He's climbing.
I'm rising you.
Redeployment.
Shut up. I'm trying to stick him, dumbass.
Chill.
That's not that, bro.
Dropping into the area.
Oh, fuck. From the top. Watch it above you. 6. Fuck.
Wow.
Stay alive.
Died, bro.
I just died. What are you talking about?
Landing on you. Oh shit.
Yeah,
Somebody want to smell my finger?
No one wants to smell your finger, bro.
Okay.
Bro, you're dragging it, bro.
Drop a loader, you can almost get it.
Your squad mate is redeployed. Well done. Resurging.
Yeah, I'm gonna put money on those I'm gonna buy it here.
I give you my money. Smell those
Thank you.
money.
Talking to
bro.
you.
Hostile UAV
Oh,
in
yo.
the area. Requesting recon at this dropping into the AO.
Fucking he's right here, landed on us.
Behind us.
He's a bullet.
Another one behind you, don't die. Oh my god.
What is happening, bro? Where are they?
They're everywhere.
Another kill. Weapons free.
No way you are there.
Deactivated. This is the end game.
No!
Be
Whoa, what
advised,
are you
this
doing
is
that?
no longer
Oh my
active.
god!
This is for keeps.
Get out of here. I'm going to my house. I don't like you.
Load up now.
Just use a shotgun like that, bro? Wow. Not
Enemies are
good.
dropping into the area. Sky. Five spots.
Fuck, where?
Are you shooting?
Losing ground. Move it.
Never mind.
One smells those finger.
If you can buy me,
I'm
buy
good,
me.
bro.
What's up with this guy?
Enemy marked.
Give me your money, bro. Give me your money.
Okay.
We have a friend to save, bro. Don't fucking waste your time, bro.
Okay. Oh, what the hell?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Wanna smell?
No, smelly finger, I'm gonna come to you right now. Give you the money right now.
Give me your money, bro.
Those guys here, careful.
Get up.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Oh no, no.
Fucking bitch.
Bye bye.
Stop that. Move it.
Terminator skin sucks though, for real, hard to hit.
Enemy dropping into the AR. Enemy soldier incoming. Resurgence. Stay alive to keep the squad in line.
It's okay, boys. Get her the key card.
Base is redeployed. Well done. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Friendly loadout drops on the way.
Fuck, man.
Enemy's got a sentry on the Secure the supply boxes. Locations are marked on your tag map. Your squad mates back on station. Good work. Get ready. Redeploying. Squad's in the safe zone. You're losing ground. Move it. You have reinforcements inbound. Enemy precision air. Find cover.
It's fuckers did everything on me. Fucking idiot.
Your squad mate's back on station. Good work. Your squad mate is redeploying. Well done. Enemy SAM turret active. Loadout drop heading your way. You have reinforcements inbound. Contract failed. Objective lost.
One fucking.
Sniper, take cover. New cash here.
Redeploying.
Oh my god, the other guy really dead? No way you let him live. And you're fighting for them, that's crazy.
Formula, or in what Demjeminov measured, where basically these interferometers measure a periodicity throughout the day that's independent of their configuration, meaning if it's a Michelson style or a closed loop like you would see for a SAGNAC, because they'll say like, oh, we're measuring Earth rotation. It's like, okay, well, the other one does the same thing too, but you guys are saying that it actually measures nothing. And let's see, kind of, so to take that back to how that relates to the ether. One second, I kind of lost my train of thought with the measurements of the periodicity.
No, you're fine. I was going to also ask you if you had ever
Yeah.
seen the manuals. You were talking about looking at some manuals or something, some technical specs of GPS
Oh yeah.
standards. Like, do you have the manuals that we can reference, or?
Yes, I do. I'll send you some in chat in 1 second. GPS, ICD. I have a really good one I want you to take a look at. This one's one of my favorites. Let me see. Oh, that's not it. Where's my ICDs? Oh, ICDs. Here we go. So I'll get you a couple of these to hold you over. One. Dude, these are different years. I'm not sure on the years. I just have them marked as 20XXX.
Oh, that's fine. Just
But it's over a course of different years because there's some verbiage change, but they're all kind of the same. They don't show any, like the math's the same. But they changed some of the wording on some of the stuff. There's a real interesting one. Doppler frequency. That's not that one.
Suck. You're such a suck.
Right. Sorry, I'm looking for something specific.
no, you're fine.
Oh, I found it. Okay, so it talks about, GPS derives distances based off of a timing difference. And so if you're in motion, if you're, even if it's rotation or uniform transitory motion, doesn't matter, you're still going to get the correct timing. Just, GPS is still going to work for you. It's going to derive the correct distance. So they say that they're getting like a Doppler frequency shift for that, but the speed of light's like, still the same. But remember, timing difference. So anyway, it just says that the GPS receivers typically calculate velocity by measuring the frequency of the Doppler shift in the D-band characters. The velocity accuracy can be scenario dependent on 2 meters per the axis, blah, 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 for the PPS receiver. But again, the degradation of the velocity is classified. So what was found in like the early 2000s-ish, there was these guys, Wolf and Pettit, who went to go get quote unquote raw GPS data from a service center where everything gets where it's all housed or whatever, right, in Colorado. So they go and get their data, and they found that it was already corrected for the Sagnick effect, meaning the speed of light c plus or minus v, and they misinterpreted that as not a significant correction, and that the speed of light was constant. And it was like, bro, your data set was corrected to show that the speed of light is constant. But anyway, how can you have a Doppler frequency without I mean, they're clearly measuring c plus or minus v. But anyway, just I think in the documents here, this was the one that worded it the most straightforward way, and the other ones in later dates they kind of change it, and they don't talk about it that way. They just show you a diagram, and they're like, look, the output is frequency related.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a little vague for me, I will say. I was hoping they'd be a little bit more clear. I think that would be pretty damning, but that's a little vague for me.
Yeah, so the implication though, right, it's a timing interval system, right? Because it doesn't derive distances based off of anything else. It uses the range measurement equation. So if there's a Doppler frequency, like the classic Doppler shift, right? So if you take the scenario, say a submarine in sonar, right? So you would use, instead of the speed of light in a vacuum, you'd use the speed of water, or I'm sorry, you'd use the speed of sound in water, and you would derive timing, distances based off of the timing of that. So the observers wouldn't measure the speed of the wave, at the speed of the wave in the water. They would measure it relative to their velocity. So in the same respect, they're measuring this, this is how GPS works. So it's deriving a timing difference, literal same equation, just uses c, the vacuum speed, instead of the speed of sound for waves or in water.
Yeah, if somebody could show that concretely, that would be pretty huge. Mathematical figure, that would be pretty big.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't talk about you're being vague. I mean the document is a little vague.
Yeah, so the document, you can look up range measurement equation. That's the significant part for the part of the argument here. We have it's well documented. Let me see, GPS, nerves, wang stuff. Re-examining, yeah, right here. So the range measurement equation in GPS is the absolute difference in the time the signal was received and the time that the signal was sent is equal to the speed of light times the signal being transmitted, or I'm sorry, the transmitted signal received minus the transmitted signal sent. So that's how they're deriving distances from it. And from this equation, like on the face of it, because we're not seeing any c plus or minus v's or anything like that, we're like, okay, you know, there's no change of light speed in here. But when you work this out, the analogy that I just gave you about how the equation is used, you know, you actually get the wrong, it leads you to the wrong interpretation, because when you work out what's being measured, it's deriving the same thing for distances. So it has to derive the distance based off of the timing difference of the velocity of the observer. Otherwise, it wouldn't be accurate.
Can you post that in chat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is Ruyong Wong in 2000 something here. I've got the copy paste for you for the date. And yeah, so he goes on to give the example too about simultaneity and how there's a live example every day with GPS, with trains and people on them and being relative to other observers and stuff, with signals being sent simultaneously. Like a big part of his, because he never mentions like the ether or anything like that in any of his papers, but his big critiques of the like the mainstream Einstein framework is, you know, through how GPS actually works and derives distances and how it's accounting for these velocities. And then of course he did the experimentation where he was measuring linear motion in 2004 with the interferometer.
So is this basically just proving relativity?
Sorry, I'm sorry, say that again.
Is this basically disproving relativity?
Yes. It's showing that the interpretation that was given to us by the relativist is an invalid interpretation. It has no physical meaningfulness. Can it get some predictions? Does it make some predictions? Yes. Does it give some, do certain experimental measurements agree with it? Absolutely. Do you have to violate the framework to get those predictions sometimes? Yes. Does violating the framework render the whole thing completely physically meaningless? Yes. Did they start with the best of intentions? Absolutely. They started off great. It was the philosophical difference in measuring, you know, when they tried to measure Earth's velocity, that really put a damper on it.
Yeah, dude, you ever heard of GPS?
Yeah.
I'm looking at this guy, and he's only got the one paper published. Just kind of
I think Alan has Ruhif muted.
Oh, I do actually. Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, he was talking to you about how GPS is reliable.
That's Dazzle.
Oh, Daza. Never mind.
Daz. What's up, Daz? I got you. Didn't say. I never argued that it was useless. I said that it was accurate and accurately derives distances based off of the timing difference in the speed of light, not the constancy of it. And it's accurate relative to a coordinate system with corrections. Nope, never. No worries. Absolutely.
Very useful, no matter how it was actually created.
Yeah. So even like on a flat Earth or whatever Earth, say you have a specific coordinate system, you know, that's defined by positions of the stars or what have you, and you need to keep everything in the confines of that. But for whatever reason, whether it be Earth rotation or ether wind variation throughout the day, there's fluctuations of the speed of light, and of course you have latitude dependent variance. So um, you're going to need to come up with ways to have a uniform way to make everything like accurate on that coordinate system. So you would just introduce corrections to it. So like whether or not how honest you want to be about the corrections or like what you present to the public is like, you know, two different things. But essentially in either case, the accuracy of the system depends on, you know, regular corrections that they do to that GPS timeline. It's actually a really fascinating story how they keep the GPS timeline in sync and everything, and all the work that goes into that, and then all the satellites that transit what do they call them, DGPS stations. Whenever they transit two of them, they get a signal sent to compensate for the timing difference, to correct for their clocks, to keep them all in sync together. So it's really a cool effort in how they do it to maintain the accuracy of it. It's a very cool project.
You mentioned something a minute ago about it being able to work on a flat Earth. I'd like to see some evidence of that, because you know, if you look at the geometry of the transmissions and the ephemeris, it's in a Cartesian coordinate system. So there's no stellar-based references until you go to turn it into a lat long elevation. And all that solution to the position happens in that Cartesian framework. And it clearly won't work if the framework is not correctly spatially oriented. If the distances aren't correct, you won't be able to solve for your position and solve for a position just next to you and get a coherent result. It can only work if the satellites say where they say are, where they say they are, when they say they are.
Well, when you get into the corrections that they have and how they work out, like specifically for the, let's take the analysis that they give us for the orbital parameters for the satellites, where they say special and general relativity would cancel out each other, or would cancel each other out at an orbital altitude of 20,000. What is it? 20,000 kilometers. So if you have that, and you have a timing difference that is derived from the Sagnac effect, which is what they end up correcting for everything. Because like I said, they don't use relativistic transformations; they just use classical equations. So they end up using a classic equation that's equivalent to the Sagnac effect to account for these. And anyway, when you take that orbital parameter, right, that timing difference, right, instead of having it be 20,000 in altitude, if it was closer, but it was going around in a circuit around a flat Earth at 20,000 kilometers, you could share that, or you could have timing difference corrections where it would be essentially simulating that relationship covariantly. So the satellites or whatever, right, would clear the sky in the same amount of time. They're just closer, moving faster, or moving slower. But due to the timing offsets that are sent out, right, the way that you interpret it, it's going to be through the coordinate system that it's already been specified to with those parameters. So it's going to be just as valid because it's timing corrections that are being made that are changing how they're accounting for distances. So when you say that it couldn't be valid how? It's all facilitated through timing corrections. That's what makes the accuracy to it, comporting it to a specific coordinate system. So that's my argument to it.
So a couple of things for that. So first of all, we can do and solve the pseudo range. Work out what the actual time is, but we can actually get a position without applying incorrections. And that's so those timing differences you make propagation reasons, those timing physical properties of the transmission path between the individual system and the station, they're not adjusted. The timing of the satellite is adjusted on the system. It's not pertinent to drift these perturbations to the orbit. There's no way the ephemeris that is sent to give meaningful unless it is actually following its path in a geometric space.
So, not understanding the significance of the meridian corrections that they do to the speed of light, like when that guy went in to go get the quote unquote raw data and it was already corrected, right? And in the meridian corrections that they make for the satellites to keep them all in the same time so that everything is relative to the coordinate system is going to be the exact mechanism as to why you would never know. And the phase carrier and the, what was the other thing you said, the pseudo range carrier are not the raw data. Those are not what you would need to substantiate the actual raw data. What you're being sent is going to be useful for that coordinate system that's already been corrected for. You do not get to have the actual information. So that's my point of contention. That's where we deviate. That's where we deviate on it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in there specific. And that's you can take that the timing and go away and calculate the position of that time. So there's nothing special in that information. The difference between those messages don't depend on where they say they're coming from, for everybody to receive, the system will not do.
Yeah, so they were specifically time of flight corrections, and what they would have observed in the analysis, similar to what they would do for sonar and sound waves, you could backwards derive c plus or minus v out of that to get the distances, and it should come out c as being c, but it doesn't. So that's the issue. Now, when they said that, oh, well, these corrections were just due to the Sagnac effect, which is a second order Doppler shift, which is an incorrect assertion about what the Sagnac effect is. It's a first order timing difference, not a second order Doppler shift. And so that the corrections to that are specifically the mechanisms that would obscure any or that would make it so that you wouldn't be able to tell the actual positions of anything, but everything would still work out and give the appearance publicly that that's what how you're using it would be.
Adjusted periodically, but the message being broadcast, the clock on the satellite is effectively a free running.
What's your
Still get a fix that places you relatively close to where you expect to. It's the corrections and whether you believe in the nature or the correctness of these corrections that you now standard for most GPS. That one turn of the course location, 100 meters or whatever, to a few meters. In case of real-time kinematics, you effectively get to bypass all of those corrections because you're able to smile on you and fix it.
Listen, we're talking, first of all, primarily about two separate sets of corrections. One, we're talking about relativistic effect corrections that aren't manifested. The second set of corrections that we're talking about are meridian corrections, which are in the same respect that the so-called relativistic corrections would be timing corrections to the speed of light. So if we're using a system that's making corrections to the timing speed of light that are meridian corrections, right, that are latitude, longitude dependent, we're not going to be able to use it to falsify the system, and it's going to give you the exact output of what you're expecting to get is. Now, the secondary corrections that you're applying to from the receiver end is what you would say would be like Earth rotation, or I would say ether drift relative to the latitude. So that is what the other correction that you're referring to that would bring your pseudo range and your range carrier estimation into alignment with your actual position. Because like you were saying, if you don't account for that, you're going to be off by about 30 meters or so, right? So what I'm saying here is that the corrections that exist within the system to make it work already make it so that we wouldn't be able to verify or assert anything about its corrections or correctness in terms of like where the positions of these things actually are. It's going to comport to what it would appear to be with a like fake coordinate system overlaid with just timing offsets to make it compensate to the same thing. When GPS was originally given out to the lads and ladettes, it had a mechanism in it that could be you can change the way that the receivers would get derived distances based off of the signals that were sent, and it would be inaccurate. And they said that it would help prevent like terrorist attacks, and so that you couldn't use GPS guided stuff like that. So the idea that they can't do corrections or send out signals that aren't correct, I mean, that's just like I don't want to continue that line of argumentation. So like if you want to get like a final thought off, we can move on.
Say 2,000 k's down. That same timing information has to work for somebody that's 2,000 k's on the other side, or 2,000 k's north. So the timing information cannot be specific to the user. It has to work for everybody, right? And if it's wrong, it'll be wrong for everybody. Satellite point.
Alan, if you want to take a look at my screen for a second, I was looking at the author of that article you're talking about. This gentleman, Royoung Wang. He published something, and if anybody else cares to look at my screen as well, he published something in 2006.
Oh, it's a great paper.
The
phase conjugate mirror.
So a follow-up to this, he argues that if you, right here, if we have a method to change the positive phase shift to a negative phase shift, the first order effect will augment each other instead of canceling each other. So he's arguing the opposite. In this case, the first two order terms, 2 pi L over 5 VC, and Michelson-Morley experiment no longer cancel each other out, but augment each other. Then we'll have a first order experiment. Actually changing a positive phase shift into a negative phase shift is what some PCMs can do. So he's arguing, he kind of iterates on his first explanation and follows up with this to kind of argue the opposite, is what it's seemingly saying to me.
No, he did that before he did the linear configuration anyway, if I'm not mistaken. And then what they showed with the phase conjugate mirrors is that the one-way speed of light, because the big contention was that you can't know the true one-way speed because when the light hits the mirror, it'll change the wavefront, so we need to measure it before it changes it. But the phase conjugate mirrors preserve the wavefront orientation, so it's kind of like sending it backwards in time. So what they did with that was he showed that the speed of light already changes on the one-way.
Yeah, and this is the only two things I could find from him. I could find this.
Oh, he's got a ton of stuff I can send you. If you type ResearchGate in his name, all of his stuff is on his ResearchGate.
Is it? I was just looking up his name. and this was from a seemingly different source, from 2006, right here.
Oh,
Let's
no, so
see
that would
here.
have been
Yeah,
after his. That would have been after his space conjugate or the first one.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And he had another author on this as well. But I just thought that was kind of interesting. I don't have a deep level understanding of this. I'm just curious about this guy. But yeah, I would be interested in I guess the technical way that how they correct it, but that's kind of a secondary thing, so we won't get into that.
Cool.
But that's all I had though.
Cool, no worries.
I definitely wanted to highlight a point that was brought up early, specifically around a specific point. In the instance of time dilation specifically, somebody brought up predictive power. It's less about predictive power implying correct interpretations of relativity. It's more about if you have alternate interpretations that have the same predictive power, that meaningful interpretation, specifically in setting clocks in motion relative to a medium, has a more meaningful interpretation than, let's say, Lorentz transformation that that's relative to observers that adjust time itself. Would that be accurate, Alan?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
because their relationship with like their step into covariance was like, okay, so as long as we say that time and space change symmetrically, we're good to go. We don't have to use absolute time and space anymore.
Correct. So predictive power in and of itself doesn't imply correct interpretation of reality. It's what has meaningful interpretation. So yeah, thank you for clarification.
I know you've been through the idea of, I guess, what we call spoofing for GPS. And there's a whole presentation you did on that you can refer others to. It got left off a little bit with what Daza was saying, as if he were asserting there'd be no way for GPS not to be from satellites the way we think that they are. And just for anyone listening, they can refer to Alan's channel on breaking that down and how that seems to might have been done as far as giving us the data from a certain distance that may not be exactly what they're saying. Layman's way of wording that, I guess. Right?
There's no doubt GPS can be spoofed, right? It
Mhm.
can be spoofed over small areas, but you can't spoof it for everybody all the time, because of that timing information, right? The bigger the area you try to spoof, the more impossible it becomes, because you have to maintain consistent timing across the entire area. And it's not feasible to do more than a local spoofing or a local disruption.
That's what you think, at least, right?
Oh yeah, and it's demonstrable, right? That you can
Is it? I don't know.
GPS receiver down anywhere.
Pretty fair. I was gonna say it's pretty fair. My contention is that it's corrected and offset before it's sent. So like what you're getting is already cooked. That's what I would say.
Cooked for everybody that can receive it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I make a statement?
Correct, right?
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's how it's done, probably.
They already do that too with the meridian corrections. That's what I'm saying. Like either like independent of how we think, conspiratorially, or just thinking like, just to get this thing to work, you would still have to do that. Like what they've done, they would still have to do. The thing that I'm bringing up is more about the relativistic aspect of it and how it falsifies relativity theory, because it shows that the speed of light isn't constant.
Maybe you can point on the slides, on Alan's slides, where he got wrong. That might be
No,
helpful for the audience.
He didn't. That's not that kind of wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing that the relativistic corrections and their explanation and physical interpretation might be under dispute here. I'm not an expert in relativity, but I do know that the corrections that are applied on the receiver side work. Whether they work because of relativity or because of some other reason, it's up to you guys. But GPS does work work very well. My main
Yeah.
contention here is that the clock corrections and the ephemeris corrections are fixed for a long period of time. You know, they're valid for up to 14 days, and they are not adjusted for individuals. So if the GPS clock is wrong, that GPS satellite will eventually become unusable.
Pre-cooked.
Yeah, but New Perspective, you can test this, right? You can get.
I don't know. Can you?
So,
Really?
so,
Okay.
so you can record the live signal from a GPS.
Well, look who flew in. We have plenty of space for you.
Or the signals, say, in
Any Globers in the house? No friendly Globers want to speak?
Real quick before we go down the GPS superhighway, let me wrap up the. It's all good. Let me wrap up the Prezi. So hope you guys all enjoyed the history on the physical interpretation of mathematics, going through the classical, going into the relativistic, and where they differ. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask or email me later. And that's it. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm going to close out the stream.
Awesome. Thanks, Alan. That was awesome.
Rick, do you want to ask a question there? Or do you want to wait for Alan to come back?
Oh, I don't mind. As long as he's done everything on his part. I think he said he's closing out. I don't know what the protocol is.
I'm sure he'll be back. There's a. Have you looked at Alan's presentations on this idea of GPS system having its own reference system that could be baked in, as he says? You watched any of that, Deza?
So the GPS has a baked-in coordinate system that describes the positions of everything over time, and you end up working out your position relative to that baked-in coordinate system. That coordinate system represents a physical geometry. You can do all the transformations of the coordinate system, but you can't change the geometry it's represented. And so you do distance calculations, altitude calculations, or whatever. It's all inside that geometry where the GPS orbits are defined. And and you can make measurements within that.
Is that raw data? Or is that unadulterated data you're playing?
Yeah, so GPS is a one-way thing, right? So it just transmits information about essentially. No, well, this is the thing, Rick, right? You can actually do this yourself. Capture this before it's turned into a location. And you can either do it, you can trust part of your phone, or you can do it from scratch. You can build a radio receiver yourself if you want to. And analyze it and the whole thing about it is that it's very open, right? And said before, it defines a particular geometry of the satellite
Mhm.
orbits, and you get placed within that geometry as well, in that same
Are you,
coordinate system.
are you talking about building your own receiver and receiver only? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you need. You only need a receiver. And that's why any corrections that are applied at the satellite, corrections for everybody, and typically they're timing corrections, orbit ephemeris corrections, and things like that. So there's nothing specific about where you are as an observer of the satellite. It doesn't know.
You're doing great out there.
Sorry, the satellite doesn't know, or the receiver doesn't know?
And it barely knows where it is. It gets told where it is.
Rough battle.
Transmits where
Pick
it thinks
yourself
it is
back
based on
up
what
and
time
turn it around.
It has no
That's
direct
the
way
trick.
of knowing exactly where it is.
I'm looking for Alan's video on the. I don't know if Alan's coming back, but speaking of things you can do yourself, did you happen to catch last night's presentation, Daza, with the celestial theodolite stuff from Dr. Mike?
Bits of it. I'm a little bit confused about what's going on there, but yeah, I've only caught bits, so I wouldn't say that I'd fully up to speed on it. I'm not sure why stellarium is used in one way. There's inconsistencies between what we see in stellarium and what we measure, or vice versa. Yeah, I'm not really up to speed with it.
I think you can.
Cool. I'd be looking forward to seeing what you have to say.
It'd be cool when Ruby gets another.
Ruhif's position is that it was erroneous. It was a mistaken measurement made by Heffenen's device. It's not a theodolite technically, so, but yeah.
I can bring in more powerful minions now.
There's definitely two sets of refraction you have to apply. A different one for the mountain, for the star.
That's the interesting thing, though. Yeah, it's definitely complicated. I mean, it's beyond my comprehension specifically.
You guys
but
need to apply refraction to that extent. That was the point of Dr. Mike using the star, occluding by the mountain peak, to basically cut out refraction from his house to the peak. Then from the peak to the star, it's just extending the straight line, bro. It's really simple.
Yeah, for me, I won't go into whether or not the measurement was accurate, but for me, the litmus test is to do it from another location, and have the star occluded from somewhere, another half a degree away, just because a single point.
Have a good battle, friend.
Maybe coincidentally the same.
He did it with Blodgett's peak as well.
Yeah.
List of stars.
The list of stars doesn't matter. You've got to change your location on the ground.
Well, this is the brilliance, though. Like, yeah. As far as that conversation was concerned, I mean, just sort of talking about the meta for a moment. The Globers wanted to specifically, or the people who wanted to challenge the measurements or the claims of the observation were sort of, I mean, essentially pointing out, like saying that either Stellarium was fine, they're all fine with Stellarium. They said the device is wrong. And I mean, it just got to a curious position where, like, this is the thing about that experiment. It can be done anywhere. Everything else is redundant. Asking questions about the specificity of that particular observation, it doesn't matter anymore. Just go out and use the tools and the technique and apply it yourself. And I mean, I don't understand why we need to sort of go be invasive at that point in someone's property, which is what Ruhif was calling for. I know you're not trying to do that, Daza, but I mean.
I think what you've nailed there is the fundamentals of science, right? You repeat it somewhere else, you change the variables, you change the distances, you pick a different. You repeat it multiple times from the same location and things like that. Those kind of a bit of scientific rigor around what you're doing, even though you might say it's not science, but science gives us more than.
Don't tell the others. I'm rooting for you.
whatever science is. I was having that conversation earlier with my father. Anyway.
The important to me, being a GPS freak, is that all of those estimates
Come back so fast.
REM and distances are all based on
The battle is really raging out there.
specific.
Are we all calling it Stellarium now? Sorry to interrupt. Sorry, I didn't let you finish. It's like Stellarium, Stellarium. I don't know. It was kind of funny actually the other day hearing it.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got to drop. Have a good one, guys.
Of what?
Take care, Daz. Definitely check out last night's. Check out the GPS spoofing stuff, the baked-in stuff that you may not be aware of yet. You seem to think that it's not possible, but maybe it is, and that it would have to be if it's actually stationary the way everything else is showing us.
Yeah, as I've said with GPS, if Alan can show a mathematical solution to the GPS problem over a flat plane, I'd be happy to look at it. But all of the solutions I've seen that work off data directly collected before a location is calculated, so phase data and ephemeris data, there's no flat plane involved. It's
As far as you can tell.
I know you can tell. The source code is very clear and open what it's doing.
Well, as far as we can tell, it's a stationary level Earth, and you should definitely check out last night's Globe Killer. It was brutal, man. I don't know if your opinion would stay the same after you do the same kind of test yourself. In fact, very brutal. Oh, the celestial in quotes theodolite.
Yeah, you don't even need a theodolite for this apparently as well, which is like absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's the whole great thing about it. Celestial theodolite was made up to, trigger as well as just as a concept of a way of showing that, this could be done actually just by telescope, just by camera zooming in on the mountain peak, and when the star gets occluded, and then using that same method with what would be shown from the mountain peak, and it doesn't line up with the globe. Sorry to say for the globe.
Like you're using the mountain as the theodolite, right? Like, you don't need a theodolite in and of itself. You're using your position. No, you just got your elevation and the elevation of the mountain at a distance, and then when you measure it to the star, that creates your sort of functioning measurement of the I don't know the correct terminology. Sorry, someone maybe can help me out here. But once you create that alignment, yeah.
Well, it's like the elevation angle is the same from the base of the observer, and if you at the same time when the star is occluded at the peak, if you took that same elevation angle, you'd be looking directly at the star. So it's a straight line tangent. There's no refraction.
There is refraction. That's the problem.
Well, that's
so. Does this mean that I'm just kind of curious, as far as stellarium is concerned and this celestial theodolite observation, does that imply that the refraction correction that's used on stellarium, does that mean that that's erroneous or like not functional or something, or what's the go?
Stellarium's main role is to give you
Yeah. I don't think anyone's really not from what I've heard, specifically challenging the results of stellarium here. I think it's just to do with this, like, do you press that button on stellarium that says like account for refraction or not? Seems to be the issue. Everyone seems to sort of comport that stellarium seems to be pretty accurate.
My understanding was that at the time of the observation, stellarium's prediction for the angle at the house wasn't the same as the prediction of the angle at the mountain, right?
beyond my capacity to answer that quickly.
Go ahead and hire one of these recruits.
If anyone else wants to jump in on it, though. Yeah, go for it, bro. Catch ya.
Don't tell the others. I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, I was just looking into GPS spoofing by the US military. Seems like a good tactic that they would deploy.
Your minions really pulled their weight.
It would be utilized in warfare for sure. And especially if you're in charge of the seas.
What is no fucking this?
So it says here, GPS spoofing involves transmitting fake signals that mimic the real GPS satellite signals but contain false information, causing receivers to misinterpret their location and time. This could be used for military deception, cybersecurity, countermeasures against adversarial use of GPS. Specialized
That's
radio
odd. I've
frequency.
never heard of another country having GPS satellites, just using the US's.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? The superpower, and so they have to remain in control of what information is divulged.
Well, no, I'm saying I would expect like Russia to have its own.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I mean, because they're relying. Why would they rely on us? They've been our enemy at least historically. I mean, if you believe the history, I don't know what your take on that is, but Cold War era, right? Kids hiding under desks because nuclear bombs were coming from Russia.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm still kind of, after examining or re-examining the history after World War II and how they were able to come together, I think perhaps they had an idea to take control of the world's mind, and they had to do that through information campaigns. And together they formed an alliance and probably made some pacts. But speaking of Russia, there appears to be some, at least I don't recall his name, but I can get it quickly. There was one former cosmonaut that says they didn't go to space. I have the video of that. And it makes sense that at his age, he might be in a position where he's not worried about being loyal to these guys. He'd rather be loyal to the truth or the creator, especially since he might be seeing him sooner.
Yeah, post it if you got it. I'll take a look.
Okay.
Cause that would be pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that picture of the guy who the story is he was like one of the first or he like the first guy that was sent into space by Russia or USSR, whatever you want to call it. I guess it would be the USSR. He was the first guy that was sent into space by them, and he kind of knew that it was gonna be bad when before it started because they had so many technical problems. And if you're in the military, you can elect to have an open casket. It's like something they offered. I'm not really sure why they did it, but there's like a famous photograph of this guy who just burnt to a crisp in front of like a bunch of Russian or USSR generals. You ever seen that photo?
No, but wow. If
It's
that's yeah.
hell of a story. And regardless of if you believe in space or not, I mean, they could have sent him up there and burned him up, right?
Yeah. Either it was either too cold or there was some sort of some sort of flame. Radiation maybe.
Well, it's supposed to be on re-entry.
Yeah.
Like you see, like a meteorite, right? Like burns up, mostly from the heat of compression and friction from the atmosphere, but it's mainly due to the compression heats it up a lot.
I did post the video for you there. I tagged you.
Okay, cool. I'll take a
No
look.
pressure, no rush. I'm just getting his name right now.
Is this your channel?
It is, yeah. His name was Igor Petrovich. I forgive everyone involved, by the way. If it is true that it was just government and state propaganda. I believe it goes much deeper than that. Because if I'm not mistaken, the Vatican was also involved.
Go ahead and hire one of these recruits. I think you can win this thing.
Fuck, what the fuck?
Yeah, this would be a tough one for me. Is he speaking English, or is he speaking Russian?
I think he's speaking Russian. As for the Polish astronaut, I did have my friend who was a senior citizen and Polish. He confirmed what he said for me.
Really?
Yeah. Plaska, meaning flat. I think it's similar to plateau or. And at their age, I have a feeling because maybe they believe in God, they feel like they don't have to maybe lie anymore. That's just my opinion. Maybe they don't want to lie. That this was their opportunity to speak the truth. Like someone who's just maybe just started working for the military, they have much more to lose than someone in their late or who's retired. I would probably be a globe earther right now if one of the 4 countries, which are Japan, China, India, and the United States, had an uncut video, or at least some good video from the moon. An uncut video from Earth to far enough showing the Earth. But after $1 trillion, 4 decades, no video. I just can't believe it any longer. But I understand why others still do.
What's your strategy this time, partner?
50, if you're hearing this, there is a little backstory to this. What is the true shape of this world? It does appear to go back very, very deep into history. For instance, there was a time where the Bible was literally covered up, hidden from the public, and people were either tortured or they had the fear of death upon them if they would attempt to give it to the people, release it. And because of the printing press, it was virtually impossible to continue hiding it because of the brave individuals smuggling it out, printing it, and sharing it. That they had to change Satan had to change his attack. No longer could he cover it, so what he had to do was undermine it. And it's been going on ever since the Reformation in the 1500s. But it wasn't until we had the technology in the 1960s to supposedly put the capstone or the final piece of the puzzle together and show the world. But after a little bit of, analysis or investigating the moon landings, it looks like it was staged. So if that's the case, we have to go back. We're essentially back to square one, looking at all the suggestions. But Satan definitely has a reason why to cover up the shape of the world. It's a literal attack on creation itself, and has many people now stating, "Oh, why should I trust the Bible? Look, it got so much wrong. It got evolution wrong. Where's God?"
Well, I don't think it's a science book, man. It's not really meant to be. It's like a guide for life. I don't think there's a need to look at the Bible as a scientific reference. It's just kind of it's a guide to humanity.
Yes, that's fair. But science is really Latin for knowledge, and had people actually looked at the science in the Bible, oh man, there'd be so. I mean, I'm sure you've heard me speak about this before. Remember how doctors, they didn't wash their hands while working in the morgue, and they would go directly and work with women in the pregnancy ward?
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
I've heard it before.
yeah. But in the Bible, it talked about using running water to wash hands. Leviticus 15. And this was like 2,000 years ago. So there's definitely a lot of science in there. It got the science about race, how there's one blood, one race of humans.
What do you mean
There's
by that?
more than one blood there.
Oh, pardon?
There's more than one type of blood.
Well, I was talking about races. How you can take someone from Afghanistan and then someone from Zimbabwe. They can marry and procreate. So
sure.
Yeah,
I suppose that's. I mean, it's not. Not quite the same. I mean, you can't take a like a certain type of blood and put it with any other type of blood, right?
Well, yeah, good point.
Over that.
That falls in like the guide of life thing, though, right? It's just like for me, like the running water thing, like that's like a life thing. Like it's like a tip for your life that'll help you get along. Also the procreation, right? If you find like a hot, little Mexican chick, you need to know if you can procreate her. Like a tip for life. Like it's kind of. I don't think there's a need to take it in the science realm. That's what people do with science too. They're like, oh, well, they kind of do the reverse with science and And God was like, well, science denies God. That's not science's place. Science isn't here to talk about God. It's just here to provide explanations and information so we can do stuff with it, like build things.
Great point. But can you use the scientific method to explore the supernatural? Because some people have tried that. Ghost hunters,
Oh, dude,
exorcists.
I used to be all into this. Did you ever? I think you're somewhere my age.
Yeah.
But did you ever listen to Coast to Coast AM?
Oh no, I don't think I never had the pleasure. What
Oh,
were they
dude,
about?
you missed out, dude. It was so good. Like I used to be so into this stuff. They would have people call in all the time talking about supernatural stuff. There was just one that I remember really vividly. It was about a woman. She was talking about how basically whenever she went to sleep every night, she would basically have experiences where she would help people pass on to the afterlife, right? So she would find herself basically somebody was dying, and she would help traverse their soul to the afterlife. And it's just really, and she had some really wicked stories. They were really interesting. That's the thing about Coast to Coast AM is it's so fucking interesting. There's another one they talked about. It was a U.S. Ranger. This is what they claimed, at least, where he had a bunch of sightings of I forget what you call it, a cryptid. I guess it'd be some kind of cryptid, right? I don't know if you believe in cryptids or not, but
I don't know too much about cryptics, unfortunately.
I guess it would be kind of like a demon.
Oh, okay. I do believe in demons, yes, and I believe I understand the mechanism on why and how they work.
Like, have you ever heard of Spring Hill Jack?
No, I don't. I
No?
haven't. I can look them up.
About Bigfoot. Think Bigfoot's
Oh,
out there?
yeah.
You think he's out there though?
Bigfoot? Oh, good
Yeah.
question. Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. But yeah.
But no, if you ever bored, or you like that kind of material, there's got to be classics pulled out. Especially, I think somebody might pull up his name, but it was can't think of his name off the top of my head right now. I could have otherwise, but he was the host before the George Norrie. George Norrie was the original host, and
Nice.
his were so good. Dude, they had somebody call in one time claiming to be flying into Area 51, and he was like giving like a live, he's giving like a live interpretation of what was happening. He's like, "Oh, I see planes now, all the lighting up," and it was just the most epic shit, dude. It was so good.
Yeah. I did hear that the U.S. government was looking into remote viewing. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, they used to look, and that's what Men Staring at Goats is about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked at all this stuff, man. Well, they ultimately shut it down. Dude, I tried all this stuff, man. I had an out of body experience. Like whenever I was like 25ish, like I did a bunch of like lucid dreaming stuff, which still affects me to this day. I still have lucid dreams almost weekly for sure, probably 3 times a week. And
Wow.
I did astral projection, which is similar to, like, you get into a similar mind state for astral projection as you do for lucid dreaming. You just don't go as deep. And I have a memory of astral projecting out of my body and like flying around at the house where I live, and then I went back in my body.
Same here.
Could you just like maybe do some of that and just go a little bit higher for us and report back a curve?
Well, you know what? The reason I returned so quick is one of the pro tips was if you're out too long, you don't remember. So that's why I just kind of did a little swing around the neighborhood and came back.
Me too. I went in quick. I was like, oh, I should go back.
Yeah, I used to be afraid I'd run into like some interterrestrial demon that would like steal my soul or some shit.
Yeah.
So I got a mate of mine. We're both into a little bit of fun, and we use the ketamine. He uses the ketamine a little bit harder than most. Man, he's had some fucking wacky experiences. Like, he had to call the ambos one time. He thought his heart had stopped. Like, the way he explained it to me was that he goes into the K-hole, and he goes around sort of like, exploring that, I guess you call it like a mental arena. And there was one time where they wouldn't let him leave. They were like, "No, you're not leaving." And this is his explanation to me. Is
Oh shit.
and so this is when his heart stopped. Yeah, like he caused a big fuss and a big scene, but it was very interesting for me.
Did they
as far
give
as
him
sort of listening
anything?
to-
Did they give him like IV, like benzodiazepines or anything to like calm him down?
No, I think by the time that they'd arrived, yeah, he just freaked out. He thought his heart had stopped. I do wonder whether or not, like, the fact that he just had a sort of tight feeling in his chest.
Oh, sure.
And given ketamine, you know, like, you can't feel yourself very well. So, you know, he thinks his heart stopped, but no, it was just that explanation of, he went off to a different place in his mind, and he was saying that, like, whatever entities that he was interacting with, whether they be of his mind or some sort of external force that he's tapping into, they were basically implying, it's like, you know, this time he's sticking around with us. So sort of
Yeah.
essentially had to fight his way back into the reality.
Wow.
But yeah.
Do they offer that in Australia as a therapy now? They offer that, like, there's a clinic like 20 minutes down the road from me where I can go get like ketamine treatments.
I think there may be some sort of therapeutic application through certain sort of psychiatry sort of industry sort of standards, but it's certainly nothing that you'd see sort of advertised on your TV or whatnot. It's sort of very specialized and kind of got to go asking for it, or maybe a doctor that whatever you're trying to deal with, they would be sort of interested in ketamine sort of therapy, and they might be inclined to then offer it as a
Did
remedy.
you guys have a lock on psychedelics like we did in the U.S.? They had a lock like federally where there was no search available. Do what?
It's all Schedule 1, yeah. I mean, they've
So they
loosened
did-
up on
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you can't go buy your weed at the local store, but you can go to a doctor with the proper licensing and go get your stuff from that. So my father uses that at the moment.
Yeah, I've done almost every psychedelic but ketamine and peyote. I've done ibogaine before, recreationally, and man, I tell you what, that is part of the reason why I'm agnostic, is that trip, that ibogaine trip. Like I just had like this, just reoccurring like life death motif, like just going on for like 12 hours, man. It was wild. I basically see like, you know, like the universe be created and then it ends, then you begin again, and it was like all forms of basically beginning and ending in every variation you could think of.
Yeah, just imagine creating this creation. Unbelievable.
And my
Would you
brother,
say, like, as
Sorry,
far
go
as
ahead.
like, well, what was causing you to think that way? As far as like
Ibogaine.
you're claiming you're, yeah, okay. So like you got the psychedelic experience. Was there any other external stimulus that was coming into your sort of field of vision that made you think about particularly like life, like death,
No,
creation, all that
no,
sort of thing?
no,
No
man.
music?
No, I was chilling at my mom's place when she was out of town, and it was like out in the country, and it was just super still, like country air. Didn't have any music on. No, because a lot of people tell you like ibogaine's not much of a recreational drug, but I was really into psychedelics back then. I used to like I extracted my own DMT, blah blah blah. So, but no,
Is that
no,
hard to do?
there's no external stimuli.
Is that hard to extract DMT? Just on a side note.
Oh God, no! It's super easy, dude. Super easy.
That's interesting. Why is it so fucking easy? And
Because
it's
it's
just been there,
everywhere.
and it's like it's the newest drug, like, right? It's like it's always been there, and like we're only just working this out now. Or I mean, what is that? There are ancient cultures that have sort of distilled it down through either ayahuasca treatments and all the rest of it, but it just seems rather peculiar to me that it's. Is it a frontier? Like, is it new or is it not? Maybe not.
There was a study. It's specifically DMT, the spirit molecules, kind of what, and Joe Rogan repopularized it, right, in mainstream, in the U.S. Western cultures. But in terms of extracting it, all you gotta do is take some mimosa bark, which is like 4%, DMT. So you take it and you just put it in like a large pickle jar, and you take a base, like you have a solvent, like you put it in a solvent, right? And you have another extractant that you put in there, and you mix it up, and then you siphon off the top liquid, and then you put that in like a glass dish, and you just let it air dry, and it forms crystals. So it's super easy. Super easy.
Maybe. You said you were Gnostic. What does that mean to say that one's Gnostic?
That means that I'm hopeful that there is a God, but I think it's probably just wishful thinking.
You think that that's a summary of Gnosticism?
Well, for me,
Interesting.
that's what it means for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you apply that label to yourself.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself an atheist. Because I still pray. Like I'll pray.
Well, like
but,
get down on your hands and knees and like
No,
recite a
no.
specific prayer, or is it something more
No.
like in
No,
like, what do you
I don't know if you were raised Christian or not, but it's like, I don't know, like it was just like a tradition, like we'd pray before bed, so like sometimes I'll just, I don't know, just kind of, it's just kind of like it's a bit of, I don't know, like an anxiety coping mechanism. If you have any stresses or something, like I'll pray to God to like help me out with this or help me out with that. You know what I mean? It's something like that.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I was raised personally. I was raised secular.
Oh yeah.
No.
No, I was raised as a Christian, but yeah, I did have a bit of like whenever I went from being a believer to becoming agnostic, it's a bit stressful, man, because you kind of go from believing that you like been promised like this grand afterlife. It's kind of like, well, when you retire, you're going to get $1 million and a nice beach house, and you're like realizing, well, that retirement fund's not there, and the beach house isn't there either. So it's a bit stressful, but eventually, like, you get over that.
We haven't found out if it's true yet, though, because we're still here.
True. Like I said, that's why I remain hopeful.
Find out what's
Nice.
true. Sorry, I kind of missed that. I was thinking about other stuff.
Oh yeah, I was just wondering. I was just saying because we haven't found out if the afterlife is true just yet because we're still alive.
Sure.
So,
I will tell you, my brother, he had liver problems, and whenever I did DMT with him quite a few times, he reported totally different experiences than a typical person would on DMT. Typically, whenever you take DMT, you get launched into like a different dimension completely, but you still have your senses about you. So it's strange in that sense that you're rocketed into another dimension, but you're still like fully aware that you are who you are, and like you still have like your rational mind about you. Whereas like if you're on mushrooms or acid, like you really go into this kind of odd way of thinking. But
disassociative, yeah.
Yeah. But my brother, he had liver problems, and that's specifically what processes DMT and removes it from your body. So his would get removed a lot slower, and he would report after we would trip. He would come back and tell me, "Oh, like I lived a life as like a World War II vet, like from birth to death." Like, and then he would tell me everything about it. It was wild, man. It's wild. I told him he should have wrote some books, man, because he had some really wild reports for sure.
there are reports of reincarnation if I'm not mistaken, in Christianity, and the earliest, one of the best reports that I've seen was in recent times. A young boy was saying that he had all these memories as also being in World War II as a pilot, and then he had so many details. They finally found, I think, through the internet, the woman who was married to that pilot was contacted, and they were brought together, the little boy and the woman, and it seems like if this was true, that he had the same memories, and it was really interesting.
Sorry, wait up. 50. Did you say you're agnostic or Gnostic?
Would be agnostic, right?
My bad. Okay, yeah.
I don't know what
Bundy was correcting me. I thought you said Gnostic.
No,
Well, what
agnostic.
does that mean to be Gnostic? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I don't know what Gnostic would. I guess Gnostic, if I'm agnostic, Gnostic would be you believe in a God, right?
Suppose so, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Well, Gnosticism, I think, means knowledge. But
Yeah,
it was, the Gnostics were creating books that were pretty much opposite to the teachings of the Bible. such as Satan was the good guy.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
So I've never even thought about it. Agnostic versus Gnostic.
Yeah, Gnostic you don't hear too much. Agnostic.
People say
it's
they're
like-
agnostic, yeah, but no one ever claims to be Gnostic.
True.
That's
Some
curious.
people do. I met a young boy. He was he goes by Digital Gnosis on YouTube. What's his name? Nathan, and he is if I'm not mistaken, a Gnostic with the G.
Yeah, it's kind of the only time I've ever heard of it is kind of like in like Nostradamus type stuff. Like people are reporting, I don't know, future events that are supposed to be happening, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, we're always very kind of curious as to the notion of like afterlife. I mean, you want to talk about pre-life? It would almost be presumptuous. What would it be?
So are you atheist? Risky?
No.
No, you believe in some sort of deity, some sort of god,
Yeah, that would seem to be apparent. Yeah.
but not any kind of. Well, from hearing you talk, it doesn't seem like you believe that the god has any like will exerted.
Well,
Like-
I'm just conscientious or cautious of actually claiming to know what that will or purpose is. I'm still trying to sort of just, I'm observing the world in its sort of, all its fractal sort of aspects and sort of, I don't know, I'm still yet to decide.
Okay, I got you.
But there definitely seems to be something at play.
If there was a
Especially
good
when-
God, would you? If there was a good God, would you want to follow him?
They're a good god?
Yes.
I mean, sure. But
Wow. I could tell. I could sense that about you, and that's
oh yeah,
that's
dude,
awesome.
I'm definitely a follower. Like I listen to people talk and I become enamored by certain characters, particularly in the sort of the skill set that they sort of are capable of wielding that goes beyond my capabilities. I'm always sort of a little bit in awe of that. So there's plenty of
Amen.
people in these rooms that I talk to about this sort of stuff, but that I put within that category. Yeah.
Awesome. Same here. And what about you, 50? If there was a good God, you'd follow him, sounds like.
Sure, why not? I'm down.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The issue becomes like, is there a good God? And I mean, whatever the God is, the creator God is like it's creating the good and the bad. So I don't claim to know what the purpose intention of that is. I mean,
How
but
about this? God created, and he said it was finished in Genesis. So after the creation, it was finished. So he didn't create the bad. What's happening is because of man, which is God's creation. Well, I guess in one sense, we can. I guess technically you could, but I'm trying to get technically too. You know what I mean? How he says it was finished. So creation is finished, and then what's happened is man, because of the attack through Satan, using the lies from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, we're pretty much attacking ourselves, and then we can be hijacked mentally and then attack others, etc.
sure. I mean, look, the dissection occurs, I think, at some point. It's like, I mean, either God created the devil to then convince man or manipulate man, or God created man with a choice, and man chose to basically, with that choice, created the devil as a
Well,
consequence.
what about good points? What about the first point we can go after first? Did God create the devil? He did create the angel, but just like man, in free will, he rebels. How can God make the devil want to do it? Is he supposed to force the devil to and force man?
Was it a mistake of God to create the devil, or was that just part of the
Well,
process?
great question. Is it also a mistake to